Welcome to Live Life with Sean. I'm your host, Sean Higgins. I'm a lifelong information security technology expert with a passion for speaking, coaching, and writing. In this podcast, I'm going to tell you stories of what I've gone through in my life. I'm hoping that by me sharing my stories, it will help you with whatever you're going through. I hope you enjoy this content. Please share it, subscribe to it, like it, and or leave a comment as this will help others find Live Life with Sean. Thank you for joining me, and I want to start tonight with a question. How are you at receiving? Now, I'm talking about receiving a compliment, a thank you, or a gift. If you're like what I used to be like, you're not very good at it because a lot of times you would either deflect or return a compliment when you received it. Now, I've been working on this, but let me start with a little story. On a Saturday afternoon, I went on the internet to buy some tickets for a movie. My wife's sister was coming over that evening, and we were going to go out to dinner and then go to a show. I thought it would be much easier if I bought the tickets in advance. It would give us some extra time at dinner as we wouldn't have to rush over to the theater to buy the tickets before the show. We had a lovely dinner at my wife and I's favorite local restaurant with her sister, and then we headed to the theater. When we arrived, we're walking through the lobby, and my sister in law just grabbed my hand and put some money into it before I even noticed. She was pretty sneaky about it. So instead of fighting her, I just received her and thanked her for it. My old self, I would have made a big deal about it. What is this? And kind of forced her or tried to force her to take the money back. But in this case, I just received it. On the other hand, my wife noticed and asked me about it. I showed her the money. And with that, we got into an argument. She said, "I am more generous than you are." I asked her why she would say that. And she said, "Because I accepted the money from her sister." I said, generosity had nothing to do with me taking the money. I bought the tickets a while ago without any expectation of her sister paying me. And with her sister giving me the money the way she did, in the way she did, I decided just to receive it. In my mind, instead of fighting with her sister over the money, I just received it as a gift. Let's stop here for a moment and think about receiving. How many times has somebody given you a compliment and you either deflected it or returned the compliment? For example, somebody comes up to you and say, "That's a lovely dress you're wearing." And you return, "This old thing?" Well, that's a deflection. Or what if somebody comes up to you and says, "Thank you for helping me with the project." And you say, "No, thank you for asking me to help you with this project." That's returning a compliment. Think about those two situations. How did it make you feel? If you were like how I was, you felt you needed to return the compliment to be equal, to be kind. And really, realistically, you never received the compliment. What if you just received the compliment? Have you ever tried to just receive a compliment? I have, and I'm starting to do it, and it is amazing. It's taken practice, and I am more able to receive compliments, gifts, thank yous than before. I started my practice after a week-long program. We had a lot of activities and practices that we did. Receiving was one of those things that we worked on that week. At the end of the program, we had some time to just walk around and talk to people. I ran into many people that I had worked with, and they wanted to thank me for the work that I had done with them. And instead of returning the compliment, I paused and received it. It was work at first because as they thanked me, I wanted to thank them just about as much as they wanted to thank me. But with each compliment, I just listened to what they had to say, And then I closed my eyes. And this allowed me to just think about what they said, and I would breathe, and I would let the compliment settle. After a moment of breathing in the compliment to really feel what they had said in my body, I opened my eyes and thanked them for the compliment, or had said something just as simple as my pleasure. I repeated this many times that evening, listening to whatever the person was saying to me, closing my eyes to let the compliment land, to feel it, to embrace it, and breathe with it. And once it settled, I would simply say, "Thank you, you're welcome, or my pleasure," just to acknowledge that I had received their compliment. As I continued talking to many different people that evening, receiving more and more compliments, I noticed two things. First, it became easier to receive the compliment each time, even though there was a pause. It felt weird at first, but that pause of closing my eyes, just really feeling and repeating that compliment in my mind, breathing with it in that pause. Second, I started to feel so much better because I was really receiving all those kind words that people were telling me. So try this. The next time somebody gives you a compliment or wants to thank you, just receive it. When somebody compliments something about you, like your hair, your actions, whatever, pause for a moment. Just pause. If you have to close your eyes, I know closing my eyes helped me. Breathe and just say thank you. Notice how you feel. When somebody thanks you, pause and say, "You're welcome, my pleasure." Notice how you feel. Let's practice for a moment. What I want you to do is I'm going to give you a compliment. I want you to breathe. Just listen to what I say and do not respond, and just continue to breathe. Are you ready? Thank you for listening to my podcast. Breathe. Did you receive it? Did you notice how you wanted to respond? How did it make you feel? It might have made you feel a little uncomfortable at first, but if you stayed with it, did you notice if you just received it, how it settled and how it started to make you feel good? I know it's not easy at first. I know it was so ingrained in me to return a compliment that I received, but I made a practice of just receiving. Try it. Notice how you feel. Notice how the compliment lands. Notice the difference in really feeling that compliment when you receive it. You might stand up straighter. You might walk with a little hop in your step. Just notice. Try it. Feel it. Breathe it all in. Let me know how it works for you to just receive a compliment. Again, thank you for joining me on Live Life with Sean. If you enjoyed this show, please share it, subscribe to it, like it, and or leave a comment or question, as this will help others find this podcast. And until next time, have a wonderful week.